This is a Mitsick Tributaries production, brought to you by the Maine Indian Tribal State Commission.
Tributaries, Episode 6, Interview with Dwayne Shaw. Fishways.
Hi, I'm Dwayne Shaw. I'm Executive Director of Downeast Salmon Federation, and that's based here in Washington County, easternmost Maine. The organization's 41 years old this year, started by local anglers primarily, and focused on wild Atlantic salmon, but also other sea-run fish.
If you could change one thing to positively impact sea-run fisheries, what would it be?
The law. So it would have to be really one very simple change in the law, and that would be any dam owner puts a fishway in it, and it will be a fishway that works, or you remove the dam. And that was the law in the past, but during the Industrial Revolution it got changed, and it was relinquished down to local authorities, and those local authorities had conflicts of interest, and we needed the dams and the power and so on, so that's what happened. But so that very simple law change would make a tremendous difference. It would not be without a lot of pain and suffering for a lot of people who have to then pay for those fishways, but the fish are more valuable than the other things that we're gaining from impounding all the water, right?
Yeah.
So,
Which is interesting because that was a message by the Commissioner of Fisheries back in the 1800s, that the fish are more valuable than the value of all the lumber in the state.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it was well known, and I think many people knew that, including many tribal folks, and people fought over it. That was the very first, I call it, and I believe it truly is, the first environmental battle on the soil of this continent was with the early Pilgrims and Puritans. When they started to build the very first dams in the 1600s, they fought immediately over whether they were going to put a fishway in or not. And those same battles continue to this day. Just outside the window here is a dam without a fishway. And I'll talk more about that in a second because it has a really interesting history. So way back when, in European law, the Magna Carta, which is the basis of Western law, said you build a dam, you put a fishway in it. So I think that's the 1300s. So it's pretty simple principle. It's absolute insanity to do what we've done. And, it's proven many places that you could have your mill and your fish too, but it was easy not to maintain that continuity. And that's what happened here on the Cobscook River or the Orange River. It was the subject of a big experiment in the 1800s, where after the first U.S. Fish Commission was started, this was the site of it, just 50 yards from where we're sitting. And it was an experiment. Can you make a fishway work? Because there was a lot of debate over that. And they built one and it worked. And then when the mill went bankrupt or was eventually abandoned, the fishway was abandoned too. And so for 100 plus years, we had a very effective fishway and recovered fish in a river that had been destroyed here in the town of Whiting. And then, so that's why we bought the dam, was to, make a change happen one way or another. And I think we're going to get that. It'll be $4 million, but we're going to have our dam and our fish too.
Mitsick Tributaries. For more information, visit mitsk.org.